Baby, won't you come my way? Got something I want to say. Can I keep you on my bed?
I don't want anybody to get offended by this video, but if you know that you probably are, if you're a very defensive person, then just make sure you clicked out before you even got to this point. Like, just skip here and then move on, okay? Hey guys, it's Alicia. So today I'm here to talk about a topic that has been talked about recently, and it's about Donald Trump talking about Mexican immigrants or just Mexicans in general. So I don't have exactly what he said, but I did pull this up on my computer and I searched it. So first off, I'm gonna tell y'all, oh wait, I do have what he said. So he said Mexico is sending people that have lots of problems, and they bring those problems to us. They are bringing drugs and bringing crime, and they're rapists. And he proposed to build a Great Wall on the Mexican-American border. So first off, y'all know he running for president. Why are you gonna run for president in the first place? Like, not even just why? Like, why are you running for president? Like, what is your goal? What are you gonna help this country with? Because I don't see how somebody like him can help this country in general. Like, even if he helped a little smidgen of a bit, I still don't see how you can even help that smidgen of a bit, because everybody knows him as somebody who is the way he is. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah. So for him to be running for president, and for him to say this about Hispanics in general, but bring it up, well, Hispanics, but Mexico in particular, because of the fact that they are right close to the American border and, you know, stuff like that. Like, Cubans, like, you know how they Hispanics, they can't even come over here because they, like, just can't. I mean, I don't know how that works. I mean, they just can't. But then Puerto Rico is, like, somewhere. But it's just like, the point is, even if he said that about just Mexicans, he meant that about Hispanics in general, because of the fact that, because typically when you see a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or a Dominican, if you see a Dominican, you may be able to tell that they are Dominican, but Dominicans can either look black, or they look Dominican, or they look Puerto Rican or Mexican. It just depends on their skin tone and stuff like that. So he basically talking about Hispanics in general, because when you see a Mexican, you don't know if they Mexican straight off the bat. You know that they're Hispanic most of the time, but you don't know that they're Mexican just right off the bat. Like, you just be like, oh yeah, that's a Mexican. No, they could be a Puerto Rican, or they could be a Spaniard, or they can be whatever other Hispanic type they are. So for him to say that is just like, first off, that puts a bad taste in your presidential campaign. Like, clearly you don't have good people behind you telling me that, no, you're not supposed to say this. Because he's racist, like, point blank period. He said stuff about black folk, he said stuff about Hispanic people, and I don't know if he said something about, like, Indians and Asians and stuff like that, but I know that he said stuff about black people and Hispanic people, because obviously we're talking about Hispanic people in this video. So yeah, so he gonna say that we need to build a Great Wall, and then make Mexico pay for it. So it's basically like how France makes Haiti pay for the stuff that they did in Haiti. So Haitians are paying back the French for what they did to Haiti. So it's just like, why are you gonna put this on an already poor country in the first place? You don't come into a presidential freaking campaign talking about we need to build a Great Wall in between Mexico and America, and not let any Mexicans come into America, because you do realize that there are the Mexicans that people are saying that are lazy and are this and that. Just because they freaking mow your lawn don't mean that they don't have ambitions in life. Don't mean that they don't want to make themselves better. Because I know people at my school who have parents who are Mexican immigrants who came across the border illegally or not. I know people whose parents did that. So one girl told me that her daddy came across the border when he was like young. When he was young, I think she said he was like 13 and stuff. And so he didn't finish school. He didn't go to school, but he still made a good life for her mama, who also came over the border, and her brother and her, and I think she got another sibling. I don't know. But yeah, like, people who come across the border, especially the Mexican border, just want something better for themselves. Just because Mexicans sell drugs don't mean nothing. Mexicans sell drugs, Asians sell drugs, white people sell drugs, black people sell drugs. People in general sell drugs, no matter what ethnicity you are. Some ethnicities more than others, yes, but if just because you Mexican don't mean that you obligate that doesn't mean that you just gonna either sell drugs and mow lawns for the rest of your life or work at Taco Bell. Like, no, that's not. Mexicans can be as successful as the next white person and still not get as much recognition for it, just like how a black person can get up to a point where a white person is at and still not get as much recognition as them. So yeah, it's just like, you can't come into a presidential campaign and say this, and you can't say it at all, because that's very offensive and it makes you look stupid, because then nobody's gonna want to vote for you, and then you getting people to pay all of this money for you to become president is just a waste of their money and a waste of their time and your time and the people that are working on your campaign's time. So on the website that I'm looking at that has this on here, it says, Donald, you're a businessman. Do you really think it's great business practice to attack your second biggest business partner? There are also 3.1 million Mexican Americans. They account for 12% of the U.S. population. So in one speech, you offend 10% of the U.S. population. That is a lot of votes, especially Texas. Now y'all all know Texas is. I think Texas was like Mexico's land before Americans took it. So there's a very high Hispanic population in Texas, I'm quite sure. So it's just like, if you say this type of stuff, you just lost most of Texas already. And Texas is a big state, because up in class I learned that Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam is like the size of Texas. So if 3 countries over there are the size of one state over here, that's a big state. So for you to say this about 10% of the Mexican American population, that's not even including the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans and the Spaniards and the Cubans and all of them. It's not even including them, because they all do add up. So you can't say that, period, in general, whether you running for president or not, vice president, secretary, attorney general, whatever. You can't say that crap. Like, and that's just so very offensive. Like, you just lost 10%. And then the black people who see this are just like, what makes you think I want to vote for you? Because we don't even like him already. So then that's another 12%, 12 or 14% gone. And so then that's 24%. And that's not even include the white people who actually do care. And white people are 63%, give or take, of America. So then you just losing all of this just because you wanted to say that you wanted to build a border over the Mexican-American line, how Mexicans are lazy and all of this stuff. Mexicans are not. Like, I don't see how if there's like a couple of people in the Mexican community that don't want to do nothing with their life, then you just want to put that on the whole freaking Mexican community. Like, no. Just because that's a personal decision. If you don't want to do nothing with your life, that's a personal decision. That's on you. Like, no, that shouldn't factor in about the whole entire Mexican ethnicity in America or in Mexico or all over the world in general. And for people to be sitting here agreeing with him just shows how petty and all of that other stuff that is. Because really, like, y'all don't want Mexicans up in here, but y'all want Mexican culture. Y'all want to do all of this stuff for Cinco de Mayo and all of this stuff on their Independence Day. But you don't want Mexicans to be in America. Don't use a freaking culture then. Just like how people don't want black people to be in America, then don't use their culture. Don't use the culture that you don't want. Don't use the culture of the people that you don't want to be in your area. Like, which is honestly not even your area. Like, they came and took this from, they took California and Texas from them. They took the whole entire whatever, every place that the Native Americans would live, and then they put the Africans on the soil that was once the Native Americans. And then they colonized this whole place and then called it their own, and then gonna say, oh, go back to your country, like people asked to be here in the first place. Of course, the Asians and the Mexicans, they weren't forcibly brought over here, but the point is, even if they weren't, they still want a better life for themselves, because America is all about the American dream and all this other crap. So, since they are American dream, okay, well, I want to live the American dream too. I want to be better. I want to get out of a country where it's just like crazy. Like, even if they do smuggle drugs over here, okay, and one of the presidents put freaking drugs in the communities and then said it was their fault. Like, I don't remember which president. I think it was Ronald Reagan, but I know it was just like, so you gonna put drugs in a community and then you gonna get mad when somebody starts selling those drugs, and now you wanna, like, it don't make no sense. So you gonna put drugs in a community that is predominantly minority, and then you gonna blame it on those minorities for selling those drugs and trying to make some money. So if you're trying to make some money and then nobody wants to hire you out there because of your looks and because they think that you're lazy, then what are you supposed to do? Like, just sit around and live homeless on the street? Freaking Lyndon Johnson did not create the war on poverty for no reason, okay? I haven't fully learned about it yet up in class, but I'm just saying, like, he did not create the war on poverty just for freaking people to just get back out on the streets. As of 2014, 45 million people, or 14.5% of all Americans, live below the poverty line. And the below the poverty line is basically like minimum wage and stuff. Like, if you make minimum wage in my state, $7.25, you still only make it $15,000 a year. So how am I supposed to survive off of $15,000 a year? You do realize I have to pay the bills. I have to get gas. I have to pay, if people have children, they have to pay for their kids. The kids have to go to school and they need money to go eat at school. If the school doesn't, no, they have to just have money to go eat at school anyway. Plus the food there isn't even good, so they're gonna want to buy the snacks that are overpriced. So it's just like, if you put people in poverty and then they want to, and then they do something that can give them quick, fast money, because even if they try to get a job, they can't get one after all of this time, then what do you expect for the poverty rate to do? Go up. Because if people can't afford to buy the simple stuff that they need, then you can't just put it all on one group of minorities and then get mad at them for using the drugs that you put into the communities that they live in. You can't get mad at them for selling them. You can't. Like, and the thing is, people, let me do some research. So I just searched who does the most drugs in America. The first thing that popped up, when it comes to illegal drug use, white America does the crime, black America gets the time. This isn't even just about black America, because I'm sure that there are Hispanics out there, like especially up in New York and stuff like that, with the high Hispanic population. Places with the high Hispanic population in general, Hispanics get the fall too. But as you can see, well, you can't see it, I can see, but you know, yeah. White America does the crime. Why does black America do the time? Oh, because you don't want to look like you're the one who does drugs. How y'all see on Lifetime all of these movies with all of these white kids doing drugs and stuff like that? And then like yesterday, me and my mama watched one, and it was with Bella Thorne from Shake It Up. And so basically her and her friends was doing heroin, and she was like using prescription pills and stuff, and so then one of her friends did heroin and she died. And it's just like, okay, so you telling me that these kids is doing heroin? Well, the girl who died stole $50 for everybody up in the locker room from her friend Dan's routine so that she could get some more drugs. And so you mean to tell me that these kids ain't going to jail for doing drugs? Rest in peace to her friend, but they ain't going to jail for doing no drugs? Like, So they just gonna live, oh, mom, like, no, go to jail. You did drugs. You got high. You did time, and your friend died, all up in the same manner. Like, no. This got off onto so many topics, and it's just like this. And it all started with Donald Trump really irking me with this stuff. And now I also have a post on Tumblr, and it is from this Hispanic girl. And she says, hi, can we talk about all the racist things Donald Trump is saying about Mexicans, but y'all are ignoring just because we are not black? And then another Mexican co-signed and said, amen. And also, we aren't arrogant, destroying our own cities and starting riots. Okay. And then a black person came on and said, this is a mess. Black people, been saying Donald Trump was racist, were disgusted by his comments, don't have anything to do with your ability to discuss this issue, and are not to be summoned at will to provide voices and labor in your movement when you don't do nothing in return. When you don't do nothing in return and trot out this anti-black BS. Black people are not this country's designated savior-ho. You hoes better learn how to fight and get used to being stepped on. And then somebody else that's black said all of this. Aren't y'all still ignoring the Afro-Mexicans because we aren't black? Like, how are you going to ignore black people all while doing whatever S word, just in case somebody that my family knows sees this, you just tried with this post. Okay, now that's the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video. So, like they said about y'all them ignoring Afro-Mexicans, my best friend is black and Mexican. So, when you see her, you think, oh, she's a black girl. But then you look at her hair texture and you know that she's mixed. But then you just think, okay, whatever, she black. And so, her father is pure Mexican. Like, he's straight up Mexican. Like, straight up Mexican. And he not mixed, nothing like that. I mean, he may have Native American in him. But besides that, she is Afro-Mexican. So she feels like people don't recognize her as Mexican, so she just doesn't say it because people are just going to be like, okay, whatever, you still black. Which is true. I mean, I say that too. I still say, okay, whatever, you still black. But I do recognize the fact that she is half Mexican. So it's just like, okay, well, you black. I still say you black, but you Mexican. I still say you Mexican. So whenever somebody does bring it up, they be like, oh yeah, she black and she Mexican. Like, I don't just leave out the Mexican side of her. But when I talk to her, I use what she identifies mostly as, and that's black, because people don't want to recognize that she's half Mexican either, because of the fact that she's, I say, 2 to 4 skin color. She a 330 and Maybelline. So that's that. She a 330 and Maybelline fit me. So I'm just let y'all know that. So yeah. You can't just sit here and ignore them because of their complexion, because they're darker, or even the freaking Afro-Mexicans, they still can be light-skinned, so then they still feel less of everything. And it's just like, okay, well, you're this and that, and nobody's going to say anything to you because you're light-skinned. So it's just like, okay, well, whatever. Like, you black, you Mexican, whatever. Like, we will identify you as that, or at least I will. I've never seen nobody at my school, at least, sit here and say, oh, you're not Mexican, oh, you're less than this, you're not that. It's like people who are that at my school, people who are black and Mexican will still prefer to use a Mexican side to get ahead. And it's just like, the thing that be really irking me is the black people that sit here and try to say, oh, I'm mixed with this. No, you're black. Stop. Like, yes, you can be mixed, but don't sit here and just, the tone that you say it in is just like, the tone you say it in is the way that I'm gonna look at you like, really? The tone you say it in is how it all plays out. If you say, oh, I'm black, but I'm also this, I'm also that. Like, it's okay to claim who you are. It's okay, but it's not okay to just sit here and be like, oh no, I'm not black, I'm more this. No, you're black. Like, stop. But it's just like, you can't sit here and say that a person is less Mexican because of their skin tone, whether they're light skinned or whether they're dark skinned. and mix as a dark-skinned person, Afro, Mexican, whatever. You can't sit here and say within the black community, you can't say that they're less of what they are when that's what they are. When you see a light-skinned Mexican person, that doesn't make them less of a Mexican. They're still Mexican. They're just lighter of complexion. When you see an Afro-Mexican, that does not make them less of a Mexican or a black person. They're still African-American or African whatever and Mexican. And so for this girl to sit here and say that nobody is saying something about it because they're not black, girl, Tumblr is not the only source outlet in the world. It is not. There are so many other outlets that you could look to for Mexican pride and stuff like that. There are freaking Tumblr blogs for Mexican pride. Freaking black people are here for the Hispanic people. Whether the black people are anti-black or not, they are here for the Hispanic people. Dudes will sit here and say, oh yeah, I only want a Mexican girl. They're here for you. They are here for you. Whether they are pro-black or not. Whether they are here for black people or not, there are people in the black community who only prefer Mexican people. So when they hear something about people saying something about Mexicans, the anti-black people will sit here and be like, oh my gosh, no, oh no. But then the black people who are pro-black, pro-pop will still sit here and say something about it because your issues are not being ignored. Like, just because you did not see a post, that means that and she even said, oh, even though I follow mostly Mexican blogs, well, if you follow mostly Mexican people, then what do you expect? You're not gonna see black people talking about it if you only follow Mexican people. Like, you can't sit here and say that nobody is talking about it because you're black. What do you expect? For freaking Tumblr to make something about it? No, they don't make nothing about black people, so they're not gonna make nothing about the Hispanic people or any other minorities. They don't make anything about it. So for her to sit here and put it on the black people, you can discuss with your community about your own problems. Like I said, I am here for people of color, period. I do not care if you're half of a person of color. I don't care if you're white and Mexican, black and white, black and freaking white, like I just said. I don't know. Like, I do not care if you're a majority and half minority. Like Ryan Guzman, he's freaking white and Mexican. I still look at him as Mexican because he says, oh yeah, I'm Mexican. Like, and that does not make him less of a Mexican. He is still Mexican. You cannot sit here and put all of your problems on the freaking, you can't put I'm not going to say the whole entire Mexican community. I'm going to say she and the other person and everybody that agreed with her. You can't put your problems on the Mexican community, on the black community before working on your problems within your community with the people that are inside of your community. Work on it with the people that are inside of your community first before trying to come and say something and start bringing other minority races in and saying, well, why aren't we getting represented? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't they talking about us? Why do they get to have a blackout? Why do they get to have this? Because black people are not represented in the freaking media. Yes, minorities in general aren't represented within a community, but I'm more likely to see a freaking Mexican girl on TV because she looks prettier. You see a Mexican girl all the time in freaking music videos and everything like that. You never see a dark-skinned black girl. You barely see a light-skinned black girl. And when that light-skinned black girl be there, she be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, she be white passing to lighter than Rihanna. So people who are not represented in media within their own community, of course, are going to be like, okay, well, you have your problems, we have ours. We'll help you with your problems if you help us with our problems. Yes, I'm not trying to offend any Mexicans because, like I said, I'm here for y'all. Y'all can look at my Tumblr description and see pro-black, pro-pop, pro-people of color. And y'all know Mexicans are very dear to my heart because they are beautiful people, okay? But when you come at the black community and say stuff like, oh, well, they're not talking about it because we're not talking about it because we're not black, and because we're not black, nobody's going to say anything about Donald Trump talking about, oh, well, about Mexican people. No, girl. Do your research before you make a stupid post. I'll leave a link to the post down below. I'm probably gonna leave time codes down below to what I'm talking about, but yeah. So sorry if you got offended. Don't leave no hate comments down below, because this is all my opinion and this is all what I wanted to talk about in this video, because I did want to make a video talking about what Donald Trump did. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got some insight on, you know, stuff within communities, minority communities, and F Donald Trump. So yeah, talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Hey, let's pop the E off a live. I got some time in the blow. I got the money to blow. I've got the money and blow. Don't have to guess how I know. Oh, it's a secret. Trust me, I'll keep it. Your own niggas.